What's beauty to you?
What's beauty to me?
For artists, you know, we fought for so long to have freedom of speech.
We have this technological revolution, but how does it impact our traditions?
If I moved one person to do something, I'll take it.
We have to remind humanity that we're one family.
To think big, take an idea seriously and follow it through. With this mindset, just one person can change the world. But what happens if you have an idea to get over a dozen big thinkers together in the name of art? A mix of mad scientists, engineers, rock stars and programmers with a conscience for our planet and people. What happens when you see an opportunity in the art world and on a hunch you quit your job and back your idea? Things like Breakfast happen. A multi-award-winning kinetic art collective with big ideas and big plans. So big, they'll soon be unveiling the world's largest kinetic art sculpture. Meet Zolty, artist and co-founder of Breakfast, a Brooklyn-based art collective known for using technology and real-time data as their art medium to create interactive sculptures and installations that connect viewers to faraway places. Designed to educate and inspire people of all ages, their monumental and mesmerizing works of art focus on social causes, from global warming to issues around equality and racism. Their underlying message reminds us we're all part of the story and solution.
What is beautiful to you?
And my family, my children, patterns in nature specifically is just like something I'm obsessed with. It's definitely where inspiration comes from. As I was saying earlier, like our goal is with some of these pieces to take these kind of very non-organic shapes and then make them feel like something that's natural and in the world. And that contrast, I think people find really interesting. And so it is sort of looking in the natural world, being inspired from it, and then converting it into something that maybe is a little more geometric and unnatural, and then bringing it back
Giving
with
it
software.
like the pool, for example.
Yeah, exactly. This is the pool. This is well, we call it the hot tub jokingly internally, because the real pool is a much larger piece. Everything that ends up here is a prototype.
Like a mini prototype of what could be. What was the motivation behind this?
So pool is in fact connected to Lake Chapala in Mexico. Lake Chapala is receding due to climate change, and the lower that lake gets, the less this moves. So most of our pieces a lot of them are tied back to social causes, things like that.
The fact that these pieces are interactive tells everybody that we're a part of the problem.
Yes. We try to connect you, being in one place, to another place in the world, like if I can pivot.
Yeah, but we are all interconnected, so.
Yeah, and so like this piece, for example, is connected to the real-time data in Longyearbyen. It's in the Arctic Circle, which is the fastest warming city in the world. So the amount of gold that shows up on the piece is directly relative to how warm it is now at this very moment compared to what it should be.
So it becomes interactive.
So the interaction, like that's how it's bringing you into the story, is when no one's standing in front of it, it'll do this. And it's kind of it's obviously an abstract animation visualization of that data. So eventually, if it keeps getting more and warmer, my whole shirt here will be gold. You won't see my eyes and my mouth and all that stuff.
From mechanical spools of thread, inventing brixels to re-engineering electromagnetic dot screens, creating kinetic art remains a constant test of courage for the Breakfast team, as their process relies on continuously breaking their creations in order to make them.
So we have pieces like this. There's one in Hudson Yards.
I'd imagine it's a lot bigger.
Oh, it's massive. It's 2.5 stories tall. And it moves through a series of visualizations like this.
So it
Same
just shows
scaffold.
basically the movement of that building, the ins and outs of their buildings.
But of all of the people. So like the more that it's moving, it's the more people that are going into these locations all around the world. So that when you live with them for a few days, you start to see the changes and you start to see how they flow and
patterns.
change. Yeah, exactly. It was only about 2 years ago that we started making pieces that were this size. And those, I would say we sell, I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 5 or 10 even sometimes a month to private collectors. Almost most of those go to private collectors. Some go into lobbies, but we make massive versions of these.
Is there an edition, like a limited edition?
Yeah, exactly. Everything that's here, except that one over there, all of them we do in editions of 8. The size can be whatever the person wants. It's more about the aesthetic and the story and the data. That's what an edition is to us. But if someone
Correct.
wants like this piece, edition 7 could be the size of this whole wall.
Kinetic art began in the early 1900s, but it really took off around the 1950s. Literally any art that moves can be called kinetic art, and it can be 2D, giving the impression of movement. Using a repetition of forms, shape, and textures, the motion of kinetic art can be driven by anything from wind, mechanics, and combustion to your movement in the room.
This is Vanishing Forest, which you can kind of, it's just the idea of, it's sort of inspired from this idea that the forests are sort of going away and so forth, and it
Yes.
kind of takes our effort to keep them around at this point and bring them back to life. With
Yeah.
all of our pieces, longevity is extremely important to us. I mean, all of our pieces have fail-safes in them where if that data source goes away, but they also will continue on following the trajectory.
Could be a charity linked to charities and their
Yeah.
influence on the planet.
That's a great idea. Thank you for that.
Have you ever thought of recording it so that you can go, let me rewind this back to 2001 to show you the movement of what was happening back then?
We have a piece that's similar to these that's called Time Capsule. We actually have it, it's in Harvard, where it records everyone that walks up to it. And so it's like, it's just like the
that's
normal
cool.
interaction.
And then
and then it
yeah.
plays them all back. So you have all these amazing people that have walked through the halls of Harvard. And the idea is in 10, 15, 20 years, you're sort of
love
watching
it.
people that were just interacting with it yesterday, as well as people that are helping save the
It's
world.
so nerdy cool what you guys do.
So they use electromagnets to rotate back and forth. And they never used to, they were made for really simple signage. You'll see them in old buses, things like that. So now, where this used to move letter every, once or twice a second, we can now do this at about 60 frames per second or 60 flips. So
Great.
these physical discs can actually flip up to 60 times in 1 second, which is kind of insane. So this piece is the American flag upside down. A flag that's upside down represents a country that's in unrest.
In
The way
turmoil.
this piece works is every time one of these stripes is animating, that is someone at this very moment using the Black Lives Matter hashtag. This is kind of part of the story that I find it very interesting that this is the only piece we cannot seem to sell. I'm happy that it's here, but yeah, I mean, it's a really important piece to us.
Prior to breakfast, Zolty and his partners hustled through the digital ad industry, conceiving of crazy ideas for over 60 brands. But it took one crazy idea that sparked newfound inspiration that changed the trajectory of his life forever.
I think this is our 13th year.
What were you doing before that?
We were making really crazy Flash websites. So we're really doing a lot of similar stuff, but all online. We were working on a project called Baker Tweet, and it ended up like just
Going viral?
going crazy to the point where that thing got put into the MoMA here in
Oh,
New York.
wow,
And so
fascinating.
off of the back of that, Mateus and I were like,
Hang on.
there's something here.
This is the shy partner, the other half of breakfast.
Yep.
So how many engineers work for you?
Well, we're 14 total right now. 7 engineers.
It must
and
be
then-
weird when you're trying to hire someone to sort of explain what they're gonna
Oh my gosh.
what they're gonna be
It's,
doing.
I truly believe there's no other place quite like this. And it's like you're just constantly working on different things.
So what's your
compared to other
what's your
studios.
presence like in Asia, for example, and the Middle East?
Like how
or
many
whatever?
pieces and stuff like that? I mean, we really have pieces everywhere. We have pieces throughout Japan and Singapore and Australia and New Zealand, the UAE and Abu Dhabi and Dubai. We just had a piece that was in the World Expo in Dubai. We had pieces in Israel, European. It's one of the biggest art fairs in the world.
Okay, where is
So the one that we were at was happening here in New York, and we sold everything off the wall. The goal of our pieces is that they entertain. Like, you don't need to be techie. They're meant to just be mesmerizing and draw you in. And the whole goal is like they should always speak to. If I bring my kids in, they gotta love it and have a good time in front of it, as well as a 90-year-old walking through the TAFAF Art Fair. Like, both of those people generally have the same experience in front of our pieces.
What did your dad do?
My dad was, he headed up HR for Pratt & Whitney. Builds like airplane engines. He was a hands-on guy. Like, his equivalent was like cars, right? He was always doing all the maintenance on his cars and like building
Fixing
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Very fixing. To his credit, my dad got us a computer very, very early, like mid 80s. We had a computer with 2 disk drives, no hard
Commodore
drive,
64
nothing.
or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, even word, just like literally a DOS prompt. And I spent hours and hours sitting on that thing, but it was painful. Like, it wasn't like jumping onto a video game. It was more of a
Deconstructing.
it was like, what can I do here if I type these words? And it's a very different thing, but it influenced a lot of like who I am today. And
There you
things like
go.
that. Yeah.
And what about mum?
Mom was home with my brother and I, and then was kind of substitute teacher.
So what were you like as a kid?
I mean, the things that have been consistent through my life, starting at a very young age, were art, music, and tech.
What kind of
And
music did you listen to?
I don't know how I got into this, but I remember specifically like a neighbor introduced me to like the Beach Boys and Billy Joel. Like, that's where I
really
started.
didn't expect you to say anything like
I
that.
know. I mean, music became a very big part of
Then so in
my
your
life.
teens.
Yeah, so like I ended up being in a band for many years.
Oh.
We were in a van going around a lot to all different places throughout mostly the Northeast. And funny enough, 2 of the members, one helped start Breakfast, and then another one though is one of the software developers. He was the
He was in the
bassist
band
in the
as well?
band. Yeah.
Oh, I was
And
going to
so-
guess that you were the bassist.
No,
so
I was
now...
the singer.
You're the singer?
Yeah,
You were
and
the
guitarist. Yeah, it was very indie, rock, whiny. So,
That's
but yeah, music's
awesome.
always been a big, big part of
You're the
things.
singer. Do you still jam?
Between Breakfast being crazy and kids, like there was like a good 7 years I just completely stopped playing, and then I was starting to get back into it, and then the pandemic, I like just found my way back.
How did
Why?
Breakfast, so that's your studio name, that's your
Yeah.
collective art name.
But the reason it's called Breakfast is because, as I was saying before, we would break things quickly, break fast. Just get it done, break stuff along the way to get to the solution. There
So
you
what
go.
was your favorite subject in school?
Art? There was this amazing, I wrote her recently.
Did you have a
our art
favorite teacher? I was going to
Oh my
say.
God, yes.
Okay, you did.
Yes, Miss Grandazzo. It was more than inspiration. Like she just let me like be in the room and like work on things longer than I should have worked on things. You know, she just was insanely supportive of anything and all creative. So during COVID, I think it was another one of these moments where I was like, I need to write her and just thank her. It took me 30 years to go and say thank you, which, like, I'm guessing most people don't say thank you, or, you know, and I should have done it much sooner.
Advice for kids.
2 different pieces of advice. Don't take your pencil off the paper. Like, you will only know what's possible when you actually learn and intimately know how this stuff works and what you can do with it and what are people not doing with it. Try to, you know, learn more about that thing before you just assume you have to hire someone. That goes for your refrigerator.
Everything.
When it breaks, try to fix it. You ever seen Ford versus Ferrari? And it is an amazing movie, and I only bring it up because it was about a race car driver who, like, really was an amazing mechanic. You have to be the mechanic to be the best race car driver you can be.
So it will be the largest kinetic sculpture ever
what we
created
know.
in the world.
Yeah, that's what, from everything we can figure out so far, should be the largest one ever done. It's a monster. I gotta
I'm
be careful
excited.
about what I say on this one. It's been a ride. No, it's gonna be amazing.
To read Mother Nature and turn her stories into art. If you really contemplate Breakfast's work, it's easy to progress to a more reflective mood. The team's mission to merge the real and digital worlds using data as a medium for art is perhaps one of the most exciting and accurate ways of reflecting our time through art today. From the idea of Baker Tweet to props from MoMA to the inception of Breakfast, it's no surprise they're making waves in the art world. Named by Fast Company as one of the world's most innovative startups, their ability to create beautiful works of art for all ages using data to help heal our planet, make us wiser, and bring us closer together is nothing short of genius, and one of the biggest ideas to come out of the art world to date.